Okay, Merrick is right. We are going to spend time talking about this connection between the opposite shoulder and the opposite hip. Let's see. So last time we talked about that there were muscle fascia lines and slings that come across the body. And we can talk about that. Oh, let me mute you all. Hold on one second. That you could do something like driving that might create a tension that's across it, or play a sport that is swinging that may use these cross body actions. And we did some yoga poses and Egoscue moves that were letting this oblique connection happen. Today we're going to talk about the opposite side. So let's imagine that you have one part of that sling that's pulled, or that is making a hip go forward or a shoulder come forward, and that's what's happening in your posture. And there's tightness on the front body. Let's talk about what happens to the connection on the back side today. And we're going to do a bunch of exercises, not different exercises than normal, but with a different idea about how we're accessing the back. So if you have one side that's being pulled forward, either a hip or a shoulder, that's being pulled into this rotation somehow, which is really common. I see this a lot. Maybe it's in the rib cage, maybe it's in the shoulder, maybe it's in the pelvis. And that when something in the front gets short and tight, now muscles can be short and tight, long and weak, long and tight. There's all kinds of different combinations. But for right now, let's just say we're short and tight somewhere in the front. Then what happens to the back? And you can just see, if I'm in that same position here, then I'm probably long on this back connection. So either the back side of the shoulder is often weak, or the back side of the hip, or both. So today we're going to just look at, if something is contracted here, how do we access the opposing muscles on the backside to help open that side up? And that can be, we're going to use hip and shoulder a lot. So think of that today as we go through our exercises, and think about how stable your rib cage is, what your shoulder girdle is doing, and also the connection into your pelvis and glutes as we begin to open up onto the backside. Given that we spend a lot of time here or here, that backside is something that we can spend a lot more time working on. So let's go ahead and start with just center yourself. Find somewhere on your body to just ground, or hands into prayer and show up in the present moment. You decide. Take some slow, deep breaths and just begin to feel your feet on the ground. Feel the breath move in and out of your body. Start to do a bit of a body scan and check from your feet up to your knees, up to your hips, into your shoulders. What's happening for you today? Where is there softness? Where is there tension? And then check your feet on the ground again and just feel from your heel to your toes. How is the balance from the right to left side? What is that like? And then let's bring some action, awareness to some of those muscles and help that connection between the backside today, from the opposite hip to the opposite shoulder. So Feet pointed straight ahead. Fold your fingers to your palms. Bring your hands to your temples. And then while you're here, just take a really deep breath. Expand your ribs and this space between where your ribs come in and your abdominals hook in. Let that expand laterally so that you get wider. And then just see, like, as you get wider, do you have a tendency to want to pop it forward? Where is there kind of an energy leak that might occur in your body? Maybe one side wants to go more forward. Maybe you notice that there's an imbalance in the two sides of your hips when you're just standing there. Just notice what happens as you bring your arms up like this. And then go ahead and start your elbow curls. Elbows all the way together so they touch and all the way back. Let the shoulder have a hinge all the way out. Shoulder blades come apart and move off your back. And then muscles on the backside, rhomboids and shoulder and other muscles back there start to turn on. A little bit of the deltoid, maybe just because your arms are up here, and the serratus on the sides over here. Maybe even mid-trap, low in your back, right in here. Those muscles that tend to have some weakness when we spend too much time with the front short and the back long. And then especially if one side, if that rotation is occurring, one side might be a little shorter. So see if when you bring your arms back, you can really find that connection into the backside. We have about 5 more. Excellent. Arms out to the side. We're going to do single arm circles this time. So I want to imagine that some of you have this rotation happening and that you have to use your abdominals like a brace to bring one arm up and then retract the shoulder blade a little bit, pull it in toward your spine, and then circle forward 40 circles. You could put a block between your knees if you needed a little more stability, but basically everything else is working like a brace right now. So keeping everything from moving, you might feel a little oscillation happen as the arm circle occurs, but do your best to just hold that stable and be able to take a deep breath at the same time. Palms up, same thing backwards, and notice when you change the arm position, we just changed the ability for your body to shorten some muscles on the backside, but you could have compensated in all kinds of ways if this position in your rib cage isn't so stable. So do your best to keep that stable, turn the arm, squeeze the shoulder, and then circle backwards. 40 circles. Now, if you were only trying to hold this, so I'm going to see if I can let my, let's go this way. If I just let my glutes go completely, in my body, that makes my pelvis tip forward. I don't have good grounding, which makes it way harder to use this. And it also means that my lower abdominals are having to stabilize everything. But if you can ground in and make your glutes slightly active, then you can have way better control of your torso than trying to control it all with your belly. So see if you can even do that. Bend slightly, push from your glutes down into the earth, and then make your butt muscles be stabilizers as well as your belly, so your belly doesn't have to do it all. Other side, good. Glutes active. Full breath in the ribs, circle forward, 40 circles. Palms up, backwards. And release. Excellent. Arms out to the side, find the back side of your shoulder again, glutes a little bit active so that you have really good stability at the base of your pelvis and you're rooting down to the ground, root to rise so you can rise up, letting your rib cage open up. Now think of all those muscles that might pull you this way and what happens to be able to open that up. Even here, these muscles that connect around the backside over here, they get to open, have some space, glutes still active, back of your shoulders active, up and over to the other side. Up and over. Good. Open up the ribs, still find the glutes. Inhale, lift. Exhale, over. Open the side body. Notice if there's a difference between the two sides. So if you're pulled down this way, it's very likely that that's a little bit of a holding pattern and then that gets stuck, and that you'll feel that it will be different to just laterally flex the spine from one side to the other. Excellent. Take your feet wider. Same thing. Exhale, over. Inhale, lift. Exhale, over. Inhale, lift. Wider one more time, really out there. Start by taking your thigh bones back, then make more space between the thigh bones and your belly, and then find your glutes again, just a little bit active on the back side to ground you back down to the earth while you lift up and over. So that's balancing thighs back, which might make more arch in your back. When your thighs move back, it increases the curve, and then you have to root your glutes down, and that will pull you back to neutral as you continue. Balanced action. 2 more. And then back in, feet right underneath you. Last ones. Glutes active. You should be able to go a little farther. Hopefully that opened up a little bit. Your shoulders again are being able to glide over the rib cage as you go up and over. Excellent. All right, come down onto your belly. We're going to go directly at this. So from your belly, arms out in front of you. Let's actually pull your arms down into like cactus arms. So first, I just want you to feel the connection to your body and the floor. Tuck your front ribs underneath a little bit. You should have some curve in your low back and some gentle rounding in your upper back. And then from here, just feel if that pulls on any of the pec muscles, just having your arms out on the floor like that. That's some information that maybe your pec minor is tight and restricting some of the action of the shoulder if just having your arms out like this is a stretch. But from here, let's connect into the back of your shoulder, lifting your left arm up off the floor. Find the back side of your shoulder. Squeeze the shoulder blade a little bit toward your spine. And then find this mid-trap muscle back here. Now find the opposite hip. So lifting the right leg, a little bit of your glute on the left gets to stay on by pressing your toes of the left side down into the floor so that whole leg is connected. And then lifting this up without increasing the arch of your back too much. So if you felt like the pelvis just tipped forward and your hip bone just dug into the ground, pull your abs in a little bit, your lower belly especially. Breathe like you're breathing through that straw. Exhale. pull that in so that it stabilizes the pelvis, and then find your butt. And if it's difficult to find your glute, you can turn your knee slightly out to the side, just like a ballet dancer, because that would help you increase the butt activation on that side. So now we're working this entire line of fascia from the left shoulder to the right hip, hold and release. Nice job. Second side, right shoulder lifting a little bit in towards your spine and elbow up off the floor. Then press down with the right leg so that you're stabilizing the right hip. Exhale, breathe out, and lift the left leg up. And if the knee wants to rotate a little bit out to the side right now, let it, so that you're really finding that glute max and you're being able to pull that up. Find that butt muscle, find the back of your shoulder. 3 breaths. And release. First side again, lift, hold. Once again, ground your toes down into the floor so that opposite hip is helping you. As you lift this one up and find that glute, really like dig your fingernails in there. You can pull that glute from the origin up here down to the attachment so that glute pulls up as you pull the leg into hip extension back behind you. And release. First side, second side, second time, lift, hold. Good, really just turning it all on. And release. Press up onto your hands and knees. Round and arch your back, cats and dogs or cat-cow. Think of that opposite shoulder to opposite hip sling again. Down and up. So it lengthens as your belly contracts, as you tuck your tailbone, round your back, round your shoulders, and then they're both contracting as the shoulders come down and the glutes lift. Tuck and squeeze. Couple more. Okay, from here, on your hands and knees, we're going to go into that same move basically. This time I want you to keep the leg in a square. So elbow bent, hand into cactus arms. Now you are going to lift the right leg off the floor. So the left glute needs to really push down into the floor so that you're not just controlling everything again with your belly. The belly has to do some work here, but the glute is a way bigger muscle to control this from pushing down into the floor so that that hip stays stable as you take the right leg up into a square. We're lifting that up, going into hip extension on that side, and this opposite side is pushing down. So cactus arm up, glute up, finding that connection between them, the left shoulder and the right hip. Now bring them down and take it right up 10 times. Moving with the breath. Find it all. Awesome. On that other side, we're getting the benefit of pushing down into the floor. So all of these muscles that are stabilizers on this side get to help you. Now that's going to be here. So pushing that shoulder so that you get serratus activation that helps to stabilize the shoulder blade. So second side, right arm up into that cactus arm position, left leg, right leg pushes down hard into the floor, find that glute, and then 10 times down and lift. Now, did you have one glute that got more tired than the other, faster or different? Just something to notice. Go back into your cats and dogs, round and arch one more time, just get some good movement in there. And then tuck your toes, come up into your downward facing dog pose. Find the same connection again. So this time we'll go right shoulder, left hip, and I'm gonna lift that leg up, try and reach to the sky. Pump the right shoulder up and forward so it doesn't collapse down. Lift it up there and reach that leg to the sky. Find the butt muscle, pull it into extension, rib cage in neutral. Hold and breathe. And bring that leg down, switch sides, lift. This time, left shoulder, right leg. Find that connection between the back of the left shoulder and the right hip. Opening that front hip flexor, finding your glute. And release it down. And all the way down to your knees again. Nice work. Roll onto your back. Feet on the floor, knees bent. I'm just gonna have you use the pressure into the floor to find some of these muscles. So make sure that you have a slight curve in your low back. Your low back has a little bit of lift off the floor and you're in neutral. So hip bones to pubic bone level. And we're basically gonna work the same connection. Bring your right arm down to the floor in that cactus arm position. And then I'm gonna have you lift the right leg and put the left leg down on the floor. The left leg is what we're gonna work. So you can make this one pretty, point your toes. You're gonna press the right shoulder hard down into the floor and keep it there. I want you to find the rhomboid, the muscle between the shoulder blade and the spine. I want you to find the mid-trap down at the bottom edge of your shoulder blade. Those muscles tend to be weak in our back when our back gets round. And then I want you to find this opposing butt muscle as you lift your hips off the floor. So right shoulder, left butt, lift and lower. We're gonna do that 10 times. I want you to do it slowly. There has to be some abdominal support here, but mostly think of the back side of that right shoulder and the left butt cheek. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. Keep going. 9 and 10, hold it up there. Work some fatigue there. 10, 9, 8, 7, get it up a little higher. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lower down, switch sides. So go into the opposite. Left shoulder, right leg, down on the ground, right butt working, left leg lifting up. You can make it pretty. Then lift. 10 lifts, up and down slowly. Find that butt muscle. Make it work. Turn it on. Clench it underneath you. Lower down. Your back muscles have to do some work here also, but really find that connection between the back of your shoulder and the opposite hip. I notice on this side, my rib cage wants to rotate. So my tendency is to rotate right to left. even just doing this exercise, my rib cage wants to pop forward. So check that in your body. What wants to happen? How does your body want to compensate out of using that butt muscle? It's probably been that way for a long time, but we can bring awareness to it. We can change it. And that leaves more balance, more symmetry, better flow of prana, energy, life force. It's more efficient. Okay, hold it up there. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Release it down. Let's go both at the same time. Both arms down on the floor. Both butt muscles working. Pressing your arms down into the floor, feeling that connection on the back side of your shoulder. Even a little bit, you're in external rotation here. So even all the way out at the rotator cuff, you could feel that. Notice, so again, my rib cage, this is my energy leak, one of the places that pops forward too easily. So check that in your body. Maybe you need to pull that down a little bit. Oh, as soon as I do that, I feel more pec stretch in that front shoulder. So pull that down, keep it in good alignment, and then lift and lower 10 more times slowly, like you're in slow motion, moving through thick pudding. Lift and lower, keeping that pressure of your arms down on the floor. Find both butt cheeks, let them squeeze at the top, and release. Press down into the floor, ground in, access those glutes. And then hold it up there 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Before you go down, check your hip bones and see if they're level. Just check it out. Do you have one hip that's doing this? You have one glute that's still not quite active? See if you can even them out, level them out, and lower down together. Pelvic tilts, rocking your back flat. Same thing, hands still on your hip bones. What's happening as you take the pelvis into that motion, going back to a flat back, going forward into an arched back? Are they moving together, or do you have one side that moves faster than the other? See if you can get it to move together, more symmetrical. Awesome. Bottoms of your feet together, let your knees drop out to the side. Even here, find the connection to your glutes a little bit. So we're not going to use the legs, but go ahead and pull your legs down a little bit and like let the butt get kind of bulbous on the back. So keep a 50% contraction. We just shortened the glutes. I took your legs and I rotated them outward, which is exactly what the butt muscles do. And then we're pulling them down, which moves you into hip extension. So be gentle, because you're opposing all these little adductors that are hip flexors and adductors in here. And then reach your arms up, pull your arms over your head to the floor. Let the shoulder blades come wide and off your back and up. 10 times. Do you feel one side of your hip more than the other? Maybe you need to let it do a little adjustment. See how that can move or change. Now, I will say if you had a degenerative hip, sometimes this position going into the hip socket deeper would be irritating to a hip. Not always, but sometimes. So just notice if there's sensation or pain, discomfort in the hip because you just took the head of the femur deeper into the socket. Five more. Ask for length in your spine as you do that. Use that transverse abdominis, that muscle that acts like a girdle right now, to go around your body, even into the backside. If you feel like your pelvis wants to tip a little bit more forward, that's okay. But watch your rib cage. Again, that energy leak right at the rib cage. As you go up, if the pec is tight, then one of the places your body will move easily is at this kind of kidney area. So pull that back down to the floor so that you maintain the really solid connection into your abdominals, and then your shoulders actually have to move more correctly, which may mean you feel a bigger stretch or more tightness in one of the shoulders that is restricted because the rib cage moves more easily. Bring your legs back in, then just find your butt muscles, squeeze and release your butt muscles, and press your arms down into the floor once more. You may need to scoot your shoulder blades underneath your back a little bit. Double check your rib cage, keep it down. Back of your shoulders turned on by pressing down into the floor. Then press your feet down into the floor, ground, and squeeze your butt muscle. Just add a contraction. Squeeze and release. Squeeze, release. Imagine you're crushing something with your butt cheeks. Squeezing quarters. Squeeze, release. Squeeze, release. Ten more. Are you getting both sides to activate evenly? Does one want to activate quicker than the other? These are muscles that you need every time you get out of a chair. And what happens in our culture here in ski towns is we get quad dominant, because these work all the time, and these can get a little lazy. So we're forcing the glutes, which are arguably the biggest muscle in your body, to help you ground down to push up so that you would be able to stand up out of a chair. We need really good joint position to let that happen so that the butt muscles activate well. And then again, that connection between the opposite shoulder and the opposite hip, and how that tends to be weak because we're often rounded a little bit forward. Awesome. Okay, onto your belly. Push up onto your hands and knees. You're going to go after it again. This time we're going to go after it a little bit bigger. So opposite hand to the opposite foot. Now, we talked about this before. Ground down really well through this butt muscle, this left butt muscle. So I have right hand on the ground, left knee on the ground. And then I have to do all the things we just talked about. Rib cage stable. Then press from the foot into the hand if you've got this. If this is too difficult for you, you can go here and just try to lift that leg up as high as possible. If you can do this, see if you can put a stretch on the shoulder, shorten the backside, so butt muscle, back muscles, opposite hip to opposite shoulder. Think of that getting closer to each other. So as you kick the foot away, the butt muscle and the back of that opposite shoulder are getting closer together. 3 breaths. And release. Now, if your back doesn't love that much extension, really turn on your belly so that you're in some protection of your back and it's not just swaying way down into that. You choose what feels appropriate for you. Second side. Again, back of the shoulder to the opposite butt. Belly and rib cage in a little bit, and then pull the back side of the butt and the back side of that opposite shoulder closer together. Shorten the line of fascia on the back side. Two more breaths. Fully in fully out. And release. Nice, round and arch one more time. Put it all together. How's that feeling? Does it feel like somebody just put some oil in there? Give me a thumbs up if that's true. Yeah, cool. All right, come up to kneeling. And just in this position, just first observe, like, does your body want to be like this? Do you ground through your glutes easily as you come here? What do your hips want to do? Does the psoas want to shorten? Do the quads want to be, pull your pelvis out of alignment? Just notice where that's at. And see if you can open up this front body, because we're getting into this backside here. And make your glutes work just to keep you like neutral and vertical right here. Just feel that. And then let's take the left foot forward, leave the right leg where it is. Left foot forward, lunge. Right hip is staying totally in neutral. Now, back of the left shoulder, right butt cheek coming together as you interlace your hands. Open the shoulders. Think of finding your left back shoulder, right butt. Hold it and breathe. In my body, I have to ask the front of that hip, then the quads on that side that tend to be short and tight to really lengthen. It's a bit of a stretch. You could even go a little more into that, into more hip extension on the back side if that felt okay to you. Coming forward on that front leg, really letting the back butt muscle work, not just hanging on the front of the hip, but literally squeezing that glute to pull that leg behind you. And then come back, switch sides. I was just on my paddleboard, and my new paddleboard is smaller than other ones I've been on, so it's a little more wobbly. So it was easier for me to be stable in this position when I really found that good connection. I didn't have such a long lever, so I wasn't falling over, but if I really connected to my glutes, I had a lot of power to be able to row in that position than all the way up standing where it's more difficult to find it. Second side. Bringing that foot forward, find this, and just see how's the difference. Is it easier to engage one side than the other? And if that's true, if you know that you rotate one direction, is it easier to find it on the side that that's normally not so long? Okay, into the shoulders, open it up, open the pec. Find the glute, and if it feels appropriate for you, take it forward. Back of the shoulder to the opposite hip, all of that staying a little bit short. Check your head position here also. Bringing it back over your shoulders. Nice. Stay here. Now bring that arm up. So we're going to shorten it in a different way. We had it short, low. Now lift that arm up. Shorten the top fibers in the shoulder to that opposite hip now. Coming forward, connect into your ribs. Lift up and out of that psoas, that hip flexor here. Find length, maybe even take your head back. In celebration, breathe, switch. Let's do that on the other side. Take it forward. Find the glute. Bring that shoulder up. Opposite shoulder to opposite hip. Ribs in. Lengthen your belly. Long and strong in your belly. Lift it up. Breathe. And back to neutral. Come all the way up to standing. Take it into a bit of a lunge. Right leg forward, left leg back. Oh. See if we're all in the camera here. Okay, so now I want you to find your butt muscle, connect into the opposite shoulder, and you're gonna push from this front lunge into a balance, and I want you to find your butt. Good. Now it's very easy to wanna like compensate in this way, but find that connection still. Opposite hip, opposite shoulder. Come back down, lower down. Let's do 5 of these each side. Push, find the butt. Woo. Hold it, come back down. Find this backside. Connect into it. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. One more. And switch. Second side. Left foot forward, right leg back. Connect into that glute. Push. Find it. Take it forward. Push. Good. Still have that awareness between the right butt and the left back of your shoulder. And that fascia that goes across your back. Awesome. Face forward. Still find that. Interlace your fingers. Take your leg up. Find your balance. So even here, back of the shoulder, butt muscle on the standing leg, ribs in alignment, collarbones in alignment, pelvis in alignment, not too far out, and then 20 circles all the way around. Find that balance. Still connect into your glute. Reverse. And point and flex. Switch sides. Circles. Reverse. Point and flex. And release. Come down onto your side for an upper spinal floor twist. Knees bent, feet stacked, space underneath the waistline, And then feel once again the connection, opposite hip, opposite shoulder. Let the backside shorten and let the front lengthen as you twist all the way over. Maybe that's easier today. Keep your knees stacked from all that work we've done already. Big full breaths. Untwist. Roll to the other side. Stack your knees and hips. Space on the underside of your waistline. And then squeeze that butt and this opposite shoulder. Let that get a little closer together. Letting all of this open. Pec, minor, into oblique, down to the hip. And then come to neutral. You may put your legs up over a chair or a block to be in this table position, or even just rest your feet on the wall. You can just be in a knee bent kind of hook lying position like this. Stretch your legs all the way out for a Shavasana. If you do that Shavasana, legs out straight, find your butt muscles first, squeeze them on the backside, kind of balance on your sacrum in neutral, and let that open, and then connect the back of your shoulders underneath you so that the back of your butt and the back of your shoulders are still connected even in your Shavasana. Maybe it feels like the middle of your back just gently lifts off the floor without the front ribs popping too far forward. Once you get there, allow your body to completely settle and just take some deep, long breaths. Even as you allow your body to just rest and settle, keep the awareness of what we've done today between this activation of the opposite hip and the opposite shoulder. I want that to get integrated into your awareness so that if you're sitting at the computer or something and you have one leg crossed and you're rounding over to that side, you can say, wow, that connection between my right shoulder and my left butt, that is long right now. And that is an inefficient way to have energy move through my body and hard on my back. So how do you lift that up and allow the front of the body and the back of the body to feel more balanced? So right now, as you rest into your Shavasana and allow other thoughts or awareness to drift away, hold in your mind's eye that balance between the front of the body and the back of the body and those crossing fibers that work to keep you stable and balanced.
This subtle balance in your body between the front and back is like the balance that we have in the connection to all things light and dark, expansion and contraction, masculine, feminine. This subtle balance between these two actions is really what we need for optimal alignment, for optimal health. If you want to stay in this place that you've found, then I encourage you to turn off your computer. If you would like a few minutes to visit before we say goodbye, then slowly bring your awareness and movement back to your body and begin to come up to seated or standing.